Hey everybody and the internet, you're watching Culture Shock, the only show on the internet that knows how to separate an issue of culture from an issue of politics. Okay, what we got for you today. So there was some news about this chick. I think she's about 21. Very pretty blonde, too much makeup, looks like a mannequin. But apparently she choked out a bouncer at a club because she believed that he had groped her. It turns out it was actually her friend who pinched her butt. A friend who was also a girl, so probably a lesbian, and she didn't know that her friend was a secret lesbian or something. But what's even funnier is the bouncer thought that when the girl was trying to choke him out, he honestly thought it was one of his friends playing prank on him. Man, women today. Ugh. All the feminine, all the insanity. Oh boy. Women today. What kind of friends do you have if you honestly think your friends are trying to choke you out? As a prank. Prank's just supposed to be funny and entertaining. What's funny and entertaining about getting choked out? That's a little weird. That's very weird. And her doing this is just... why? Why, oh why? I don't care if he'd actually groped her. How is that even remotely an appropriate response? If your response is more harmful than the actual thing that was done itself, then there is no justice in doing it. Absolutely no justice. But that friend of hers who was the actual culprit who pinched her butt, definitely a secret lesbian for sure. That's just not something you normally do, because the way it was described, it was fairly sexual, so that was definitely a friend, certainly a lesbian. And she freaked out on the dude for no reason. That was not a middle finger, by the way, I was fidgeting again. But anyway, that whole thing is very, very entertaining. It's sad and hilarious all at the same time. But that response is in no way appropriate, for sure. Now, what I really want to talk about, oh boy. This news frightens me. Spinnaker. A 1,000 core CPU computer. 1,000 cores. So they can model the human brain. This computer is modeled to act like the human brain. So they can better understand the brain. On the surface, this sounds amazing because we know so little about the brain. But I have to voice some fears about Spinnaker. It's an acronym. I don't remember what it means. I don't remember what it means. You can look it up yourself. It's SPINNAKER. That's SPINNAKER. And no, I don't use prompter. I'm just reading my notes. I take notes so I can remember what to talk about, but the dialogue itself was completely raw. This is all me. It was completely raw. It just says talk about, and that's all it says. It just helps to keep everything in order. But I am definitely afraid of the possibility of artificial intelligence, and I think Spinnaker is a step in that direction. Because, like in the Bible, I don't believe in the Bible. I don't like Christianity, but the Lucifer problem. The guy who decides that, he doesn't need God, he's too good for God. He doesn't need him. He's better than God, tries to replace God. I could totally see more or less the same idea happening with AI. I call it the Lucifer problem. What if AI decides that it doesn't need humans, that it's better than humans, and wants to replace humans? It seems like a perfectly viable possibility to occur. And we're basically inviting that to happen. People are probably like, oh, that just happens in movies. So what? Didn't you know that art imitates life? And vice versa? That art and life imitate each other? The reason why it's in the movies is because it's believable. Art has to be somewhat believable for people in order to accept it. Something to fool the brain into believing it's real, you know? It resembles reality enough that your brain doesn't care. Therefore, if it resembles reality, could it not in fact happen in reality? I think it could. Which is why I do not like Spinnaker. There's got to be a better, less scary way to map the brain. There has to be. And it also really kind of feeds into the laziness of modernity. All this technology like Google Assistant and shit, where you can like have it call someone and set up appointments for you. As a psycho-philosopher, someone who studies psychology and is philosophical, I write philosophical blogs. Please read those. They're on Minds, Steemit, and WordPress. That would be the Nathan of Washington Brain Hub on WordPress. So please read those. Anyway, I've noticed throughout history that every time there's a revolution, like what Nietzsche said, revolution stops evolution. Every time there's a revolution, people become lazy. You look back at history, people progressively have become lazier and lazier over time. They want an easier life because they think that makes it better. It doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. Doing things the hard way and struggling is what makes us better. You don't build muscle by taking it easy. You build muscle by exercising it. Use it or lose it. Being lazy is going to make you weak and feeble. It's going to take away your power. Struggling against and achieving, taking on a challenge and overcoming that challenge makes us better. Not being lazy. So an easier life is not a better life. It makes you weak, it makes you lazy, and living like that, if you were thrust back out into nature again, would you even last one day? You wouldn't. You would die very quickly. And I don't think this society is all that sustainable. It'll fall apart someday. And when it does, people like that aren't going to make it. They're all going to die. So I think things that give you license to be lazy should be completely thrown away. And yes, you can see my game consoles in the background. I do play video games. But trust me, just because you play games doesn't mean you're lazy. That's just what I do in my off time. I do plenty of exercise. I try to keep the house clean, although it's not always so easy. But anyway, I do plenty of stuff. So no, don't go that route. Do shit the hard way. Learn to wash dishes by hand. Don't rely on these modern conveniences, because they're just licensed to make you lazy. Anyway. And finally, something that I respect my white European ancestors. I like being a white European who lives in America. However, when someone goes into a synagogue in the middle of a ritual of naming a baby and then says, "Kill all Jews," or leaves a message that says, "Kill all Jews," my blood pressure shoots right up. I hate anti-Semites. I hate Nazis. Because, you know what? I love trolling the shit out of them. It's amazing. Because they really, you know, don't say anything. Just say stuff only that you know will piss them off. And they'll imply all kinds of shit. Just because you agree with them, they think you're... Don't agree with them, they think you're a snowflake. If you don't agree with them, you're a snowflake. That's how they think. It's ridiculous. Just like if you don't agree with a snowflake, that makes you far right. They're complete opposites of each other. They're complete opposites. They're both extremes. One's far left, one's far right. And they both hate each other. Sanity is found in the middle, folks. Sanity is in the center ground. That's where you're going to find your political sanity, in the middle. Somewhere. You can be a little more right-leaning or a little more left-leaning, but if you're far left or far right, you're nuts. And I troll them both. It's really fun. Just say stuff you know will tick them off, but don't say anything you actually mean. Just let them imply shit that they're going to be absolutely wrong about. Let them create that false image of you. And then if you feel like it, maybe expose them a little. Show it to people who know you, and they'll recognize the insanity. And maybe a reputation of their insanity will spread from there. But leave the Jews alone, okay? Historically, they've been the most hated race in the history of the human species. The only one more hated than the Jews, even remotely, might be the Armenians. But the Jews especially. The Armenians never had a Holocaust. Although, technically, the Armenian genocide, so, yeah, okay, maybe they did. I forgot about it, so don't get on my case about it, folks. I kind of forgot about it. See, this is why I have these notes, to talk about stuff. I have my opinions and my information, but I have... You know, just sometimes it's a little hard to keep things on the brain. You memorize it, you think you memorize something, and then it just kind of goes away after a bit. So anyway, yeah, just leave the Jews alone, okay? I mean, sure, they've historically been a very dominant people. They show up, they do better than you, they practically take over, but that is not a reason to go all, you know, crazy homicidal maniac. The anti-Semites, unfortunately, have a right to free speech. They can say this shit. But I think that free speech comes with a price, and that price is consequence. If you say something, anything, you better be ready to face the music, and be ready to accept the consequences of what it was that you've said. Whatever those consequences may be. And I think when you say something like kill all Jews, get ready to be hated, and maybe even thrown in prison. Because if you say it and you mean it, then you're probably going to try to act on it, and therefore commit a few murders, become a serial killer. Yeah. Like the far right talks about this thing from the fictional story Day of the Rope, where they hang race traitors and you know, Jews and just everybody. Just yeah. Those guys are going to become serial killers someday. I'm convinced of it. They're all going to try to do it. Try to make maybe some kind of, I don't know. Just troll them for now. It's amazing. But all of them, I think, are going to be in prison someday. They're going to have their day in court. They're going to be found guilty. But let's have a little fun with them while they're still around for now. Let's have a little fun. Let's just be merciless in our chat rooms, wherever a Nazi or a snowflake may be found. Let's just torment them with our trolling mercilessly. Because we're not going to have them forever. We only have them for now, folks. They're going to be imprisoned or dead someday. So let's just appreciate their insanity while we still have it, and have our fun. Cheers, folks.